Alright guys, Grace has been a little boring lately, so I decided to read into its lore, and it's pretty interesting actually, mainly because I was the one who created the lore for the game, and I just gave it to the developers because why not, since I'm a chill guy like that. So, let's start with Carnage, since he's the one that attacks us first. Basically, most of the antagonists in this game actually represent some sort of mental illness, such as depression, anxiety, rage, whatever. And Carnage actually. Oh fuck. I went with a normal one. Hold on. So yeah, basically Carnage is a metaphor for the phobia of getting chased by a huge pink eyeball in tight corridors while some music plays in the background. It's a pretty dope phobia to back. It is a phobia, so people get scared of it. Me personally, I find it interesting, and I decided to give it to the developers because it is a good phobia. I have had some experiences with it, not that I feared while I was getting chased, because I don't fear anything. Fear? Huh, what is that? Fear feels fear whenever you hear my name. Also, another one to keep in mind is Liphany. Liphany is a metaphor for Squidward because it has three eyes, and Squidward doesn't have three eyes, but he has a big ass nose. And the third eye, the bottom one, is actually supposed to represent Squidward's nose due to how large it is. Also, some people actually fear the Squidward's nose for some reason, and it's called Squidward's nose phobia. And I don't know why people fear it. I find it pretty cool, honestly. But yeah, there's also lore on these modifiers such as time don't beat. Time don't beat is actually a metaphor for again of the phobia. It's the clock heart phobia, which people um actually, never mind, scratch that. So it's actually the time phobia, which is people that fear time, because time is passing by and they're just getting old, and they're doing nothing with their lives other than playing games or just rotting away in their couches with binge watching shows. So yeah, it's supposed to represent that basically. Not much of a looker or wowzers, but it's still pretty interesting if you look deep into it. So, if you're wondering where you can find this lore, you actually can't, because that's a thing that's being produced right now, it's not finished. I'm still helping the developers with it. Not something noteworthy, but still, it's kinda dope that they actually decided to add it. Matter of fact, I created this whole game. The developers just modeled the game, added the musics. I don't know why this one is here, but whatever. The developers just created the music. I mean, they just added the music, added the models, coded. This whole game was my idea, and so they praise me for it every day because I just gave them this awesome idea for free. Also, the shrimping is on purpose. I decided to add it because I love playing Demo Knight in TF2. And I love Trimping as Demo Knight in TF2. So you know how it is, your boy just too good for this. So, I had to make a tribute to TF2 with a glitch, which is Trimping. So yeah, pretty dope if you ask me. Another one that I should tell you the lore of is the Goober that I like to call Goober, the Leech. Yeah, this one right here. The lore about him is that he was actually just those snakes that for some reason go into concrete right as it is raining, so they just die in the morning because it's too hot. Um, this leech is actually a worm, not a leech, but still, it is supposed to represent those kind of worms because I found them quite dumb. And this leech is also dumb because just look at him. Like, why does he have an eye in his mouth? What creature would have that? That's just foolish. It doesn't make sense at all, like, you feel me? So the ladder also has some lore. It is supposed to represent the phobia of the heights. No, that's so serious. It's supposed to represent the phobia of not having ladders in some places. Like straight walks and whatnot. Just the basics. And I actually added it because I actually have that phobia. It's not triggering right now for some reason. I think I actually lost that phobia already because I'm just too good at this game. So yeah. But it's mostly made to represent that phobia. Nothing too noteworthy again. The Red Eyes lore The eyes lore actually, both of the eyes lore. I forgot their names. The blue eye and the red eye, whatever. Their lore is that they're siblings that like to stare at people, and then they got brutally murdered because they stared at like some cartel guy. And oh my god, oh my god. Oh, so they got brutally murdered by some cartel people because you know they stared for too long at them. And so yeah, that's their lore. So the reason why we're here, it's actually because this is a purgatory. In our past lives, we were like marathon runners, and we really like to jump over stuff. And because of that, we actually tripped and died and went to purgatory, where we'll suffer for our sins, which is dying in such a stupid way. So yeah, that's about it for the general lore. There's also lore for other silly stuff, such as the modifiers, as I explained already. The water drop lore is actually based on Donkey Kong Country Returns underwater levels, except it's not, and I'm just making up that stuff up. But if you're actually wondering if all of this that I'm telling you is real, you can just ask the developers, and if they do not know what I'm talking about, just send them this video. They will start praising you almost immediately and then call themselves dumb because they forgot to immediately watch the video as soon as it was out. And they might reward you for some Robux, like whenever an owner of a dog rewards the dog for correctly doing the trick, and then he just gives like the dog some treat. Yeah, your treat will be like some Robux and being called a good boy or something like that. I don't know. But if the developer calls you anything sweeter than good boy or a good girl, you should probably stay away from them because he's probably a pedophile. Ignore the cigarette that I just did, that was nothing. But what I'm saying is that this water again is actually inspired by Donkey Kong Country Returns underwater levels because they're so fun. TikTok is actually inspired by that music that Joji made. It's like TikTok. I know you know that music. It's actually pretty funny because I actually told Joji about this. Yeah, I know him, and he said, "Wow, this is so cool, bro. Do you want like $1 million?" And yeah, that's how I turned into a millionaire. But you know, that's just how it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? 10. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing much. There's nothing too noteworthy. 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, these locker rooms are actually inspired by rooms themselves, because you know every rooms game gotta have like a type of room that you cannot just. So every type of room game has to have at least. It was it 11? Yeah, I think it was. Every room game has to have at least one type of room that will just slow you down just because you are going too fast. You know, just the basics. Rules lore is pretty simple actually. Rules. Oh! I didn't see. Rules lore is actually pretty simple. Um, if you think about it, like don't think about it too much because this is just a silly game lore. But basically Rue was actually a child that liked to stalk people, very similarly to the Eyes, except instead of just watching them, Rue was just stalking people. And so, you know, he had the same fate as the Eyes. He stalked the cartel guy, and then he got brutally murdered for it. And now he's at the purgatory with us, and now he keeps stalking us because we're actually so beautiful. So yeah, it's basically that. Nothing that crazy. Was it 11? Yeah, it was 11, I suppose. Yeah, it was 11. Livni, I already explained his lore. It's not that much of a banger, but it's still something, you know, something to keep in mind. You know, that was actually pretty close, but you know, I'm just the best player on Grace the world has ever seen. So you know, dying is not much of my stuff, you know. I rarely die on this game. Matter of fact, you've never seen me die. All the times I ever said was because the developers were actually in my game watching me. So they actually wanted me to die to make things interesting, you know. Wait, was it 11? Oh no, I'm not gonna risk it. Well, you know, I'm actually slowing down a bit, but it's because I'm trying to give a chance. I'm trying to give a chance to the characters of this game to kill me, because they are sentient AIs. They have feelings, you know. They have feelings. If you start, you know, just trying to, I don't know, humiliate one of them, they might just start crying and leave you alone. So that's actually kind of sad of you if you start humiliating them. But you know, that's what I'm saying. The tar pit is actually inspired by the tar pit's actually inspired by a few a few quicksands that I like, such as, hold on, I gotta lock in. Tar pit's actually inspired by quicksand in Super Mario 64, because holy shit, that has killed me so many times. You know, guys, the developers actually attacked me, so I didn't die. Devel there's only one entity that has not been discovered yet by the wiki, which is the developers themselves. They only attack me because they like to have fun with me, you know, because I'm so popular and stuff, you know. It's just the basics. There's nothing really noteworthy about it, but still, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know. Oh, 18! 18! 19! Holy shit, that was such a good timing. Anyways, but yeah, the developers actually love me so much. And they just, every time that I start playing, they drop everything they're doing, and they start watching me play, and then start trolling me, like resetting my run randomly, or attacking me by themselves, you know, because why not? And it's all the developers that do that. Um, by developers, like even art workers and whatnot, you know, like everyone that just contributed to the game, they just like bunch up in like a living room, and they start taking turns on who's gonna troll me, you know, just the basics of being a famous person. It's not that much of a deal, not gonna lie, but you know, it's just the basics. It's just how it is. You wouldn't understand because you are not me, you know. Okay, anyways, you know, it's just the basics. There's nothing too noteworthy about it. I'm repeating myself too much, but you know, it's because I don't wanna confuse you guys with my extreme vocabulary, with my exquisite vocabulary. Even though my pronunciation isn't that good, everything that goes on in my mind, I have to slow it down by like 10 times, or else no one won't understand me, you know, because no one understands me. My profile picture is actually sad boy Bart, because I'm depressive like that. I is actually, I was thinking of changing it to like some anime guy with like sad boy written on his face, and then like a lot of pointless stuff also written on his face, you know, just to show how sad I am, how no one understands me. But deep down, I actually just want attention from people that do not care about me, you know, because I'm selfish like that. And then I also like to punch. You know, I actually like to punch metal for fun. Anyways, the cheese, this red is actually one of the developers' ideas. I told him to not add into the main game, or else it would break the whole immersion of it, because I'm boring like that. And you see, he's in my inventory, and he's actually, according to the dev that added it, he's actually supposed to like, he's a metaphor. He's a metaphor to people who can't shut up, you know, the people who just can't shut the fuck up like me. But in this case, no one wants me to shut the fuck up, you know, because I'm just cool like that. But the thing you gotta do whenever someone doesn't shut the fuck up about something that's extremely annoying, you just grab them, like lift them in the air, give them a little bit of a hope, and then, that was close by the way, and then just like punch them in their head, to close their mouths so they can shut the fuck up already and give you a little bit of peace. You know, me personally, I've had a few problems with people who don't shut the fuck up. They're extremely annoying because they just keep going on and on about something that I really don't care. And excuse me if I'm not being a good friend, but I just don't like anyone. You know, I hate everyone secretly because I'm that different. But you know, it is like it is. You know, I actually created this guy. I actually created this meme of the rat. Cause I'm funny like that, you know. It's just the way it is. Shred, bro. So anyways, I don't know what to talk about anymore. So after I die in this one, I'm just gonna stop recording because my mind has actually run out of ideas. I can feel it physically dying. So yeah, guys, it's that's pretty much about it. You're just gonna watch me playing. You're just gonna watch me playing normally now because why not, you know? Because I'm just too good at the game, and who doesn't like to see good players playing, you know? It's just too fun. Like, it's not every day that you see someone just streaming around because he can, you know? Because I'm just too good for this game. Like, I just don't take the first place in every speedrun.com category of this game because, you know, I don't wanna be that not chill guy, you know, that takes everything too seriously. I just want to be a chill guy for everyone, so everyone can start liking me again, so I can create a huge revolution of people who believe that I'm a god, so I can actually overthrow every government that has ever existed. By the way, guys, I'm joking. Do not take this to the police. But if you do, just know that you are not a chill guy, and I will not accept you into my revolution. So yeah, just be warned though, but that's that's nothing to worry about. Honestly, you should just not give a fuck. I don't know, it's up to you really. If you wanna give a fuck or not. I don't really care if you do. Don't yeah. Yeah, that's about it though. But don't worry about it. It's just stream, you know. At the end of the day, it's just Grace, a silly game that I created by myself. You know, it's a silly game that I created by myself with the